So we've been going over our cornerstone values as a church. Has this been helpful for anybody? Have you guys been enjoying these so far? Catherine's talk on worship, Mary Ellen's talk on freedom. We've had some amazing series that we're going through. And I'm so passionate about these ideas because they are the core of who we are as a church, but they're also, we believe, the core of what God is calling us to as believers. And if we can get these things, if we can really get them deep inside of us, I believe not only will we see real transformation in our lives, but we're actually going to see societal transformation. The more that we can walk out these values. It's not just our values. We believe that these are like core biblical principles, core values that Jesus wanted to impart to us. So today I'm talking about one of my favorites. It is often misconstrued. So I'm praying that I can just communicate it in a way that it comes across and you guys like, I get it in a way I've never gotten it before. And I'm talking about honor today. Intentional honor is one of our core values. And honor, I think, has been seen in a lot of different ways. We've seen honor as like the knight in shining armor. Oh, I have to have honor. Like I have to do what I follow through on my word and do what I say I'm going to do. And if somebody insults me, I have to smack them with my glove and invite them to a duel. And like honor, right? We have it viewed so many different ways. Or sometimes in the church, like in today, we hear people talk about honor, and it's this sense of like, well, honor means you have to completely submit yourself and subject to an authority. And whatever they say is what you have to do. And you can't doubt them or disbelieve them or argue with them. And we've seen honor taught in so many different ways. And so I really want to pull out what I believe that God teaches about honor. Because here's the thing. I actually believe that one of the reasons honor has been so often misconstrued is because the enemy knows that if we don't have a proper understanding of it, we actually can't reap the rewards of it. If we don't really understand what honor actually means, he actually can confuse us and keep us in a place where that word just feels weird. It doesn't feel good. We don't want anything to do with it. And we actually miss out on a powerful principle and resource that the Lord offers us. So, basic definition, honor means to regard or treat someone with admiration and respect. Good thing, right? To regard or treat someone with admiration and respect, or to give special recognition or to confer honor on. So sometimes we honor somebody and it's just showing them respect and appreciation. Sometimes when we honor somebody, it's actually giving them a special recognition. So like when somebody wins a gold medal, they get honored by standing at the top level of the podium and then second place and then first place, right? There is a special place of honor for the person that got first place, not because they're a better person than the others, but they did something that goes, hey, we're going to actually look at you above the rest and celebrate what you just accomplished and what you achieved. When we look at honor in the Bible and we look at honor in community, honor has so much to do with how we treat each other. How do we treat each other? And also, I want to say this, I think honor has a lot to do with what do you receive from and give to each other. Because when I honor somebody, it means that I actually value them enough that I recognize they have something that they could teach me. They have something they could offer to me. They bring something of value when they come into the room. If someone walks into the room and I could care less, that's not showing them honor. When people walk into the room and I go, hey, I'm really glad you're here. There's something you bring that would be missing without you. That's honor. Does that make sense? So I recognize that I can receive, but I also want to give. When I honor somebody, I give to them, right? If I want to honor somebody, like when my wife wants to honor me, she will give me a piece of gum from her car because she knows if she doesn't, my breath's going to fill the whole thing. Honor means you're willing to offer something as well as to receive. So I want to talk about a couple different things. The first is who are we called to honor? And in the Bible teaches us that there are 4 categories of people that we're called to honor. 1 Peter 2:17. I love that Peter's like, let me just break this down and like simplify it for everybody, okay? 1 Peter 2:17 says this. It says, honor everyone, love the brotherhood, fear God, and honor the emperor. Honor everyone, love the brotherhood, fear God, and honor the emperor. I'm going to break these down a little bit, okay? Honor everyone. That just means all people are worthy of honor. God has designed all of us to be honored. And so I don't look at someone and go, oh, they are worth honor, but they're not. And sometimes we do that. Listen, it's so easy to do that, especially when we've been in a situation where someone has hurt us, where someone has offended us, where someone lives a lifestyle we don't agree with, says something we don't like. In fact, we live in a society that more than ever has been making declarations that if you believe this way, you're not worthy of honor. If you say, act this, if you vote this way, you're not worthy of honor. We've all heard things like this. And I think the world says, if you do something that I think is bad or evil, then I have every right to despise you, hate you, say horrible things about you. Guess what? It's not great when the world does it. It's a lot worse when the church does it. Because the church in some places has said, if you do something that I think is evil, then I have every reason to despise you, say bad things about you, disconnect from you. And what we're called to as the church, do you mind? Yeah, a coffee or water or something. Sorry. What we're called to as the church is to be better than that. To actually honor everyone. People we disagree with, people we don't understand, even those we consider enemies. Now listen, somebody that I strongly disagree with, I may not receive wisdom or like teaching from them. Somebody that I believe is wrong about some of the things they believe, I'm not going to go, teach me your ways, but I'm still going to honor them. I'm still going to accept that they're valuable, that they're worth love. You know, my dad used to have this saying, and he still says it all the time, and he talk about how we're called to love people, and he says, when I see someone that I don't agree with, I think two things. One, there goes one who is made in the image of God. And two, there goes one who Jesus died for. If I can look at everybody around me and recognize they're made in his image, there is nothing that they could do that would decrease or diminish their value and their worth. But also Jesus died for them. And if Jesus died for somebody, how dare I decide that they're not worthy or valuable? How dare I decide that they're not to be honored? If he died for someone, I will give them honor. Does that make sense? Do we just honor everyone? That's just how we choose to live. Jesus even put Judas, he knew Judas would betray him, right? You know what else he knew? He knew Judas was a thief. And he said, Judas, guess what? You get to handle the money. You're going to be the money person for us. Why would Jesus do that? I think for two reasons. One, I think Jesus knew that Judas probably actually had a gift for finances. There was probably gold inside of him that was like, hey, this is a skill set that you have that I recognize, that I want to honor. And because of that, Jesus had an option. He could look at Judas and go, I know what you're going to do, the bad you're going to do. Therefore, I'm going to remove you from having any ability to do the bad. Thank you. I think instead what happened was this. I think Jesus looked at Judas and said, I know the gold that's in you. I know the good that you could do. I know the choices that you could make. And I'm going to set you up in every way that I can so that making those choices is available to you. See, here's what happens when we don't show people honor. When we don't show people honor, we only see the worst things inside of them. We actually set them up to have no option but to choose those things. When we show somebody honor who doesn't deserve it, we actually give them an opportunity to make a different choice. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen that take place, where because honor was shown, somebody who was living one direction had the freedom to make another choice and go a different route. You know, God always treats us out of our destiny more than out of our current condition. And so honor recognizes what's inside of people. You know, several years ago, actually it was probably, 6 or 7 years ago, I was working at a company. Sorry. And it's not sore, it's just dry. Thank you. I was working at a company, and at the end of this year, they gave me an award. I had no clue I was getting it. And we went to the company retreat, and they gave me the Agent of the Year award. And that felt amazing, because I was like, it wasn't that I made the most money. It wasn't, but what it was is that I really paid attention to the people around me and loved them and said, how do I make everything here better? How can I help this company? And they recognized that. And it feels really good. How many of you guys know it feels really good to be seen and to be noticed, to be recognized? Does anybody have an award that they hold on to that they really like? I love that. See, it's the only award that I've kept. I had trophies from when I was a kid from football or not football, baseball and different things that I did. But my Agent of the Year, it's this big glass thing, and I have it on the top of my bookcase, and I love that because it feels good to be noticed. It feels good to be seen, to be recognized. And when we talk about honor, what we're talking about is looking at each person in this room and being able to call out the gold. It's easy to see things we would criticize about somebody. But can we build the skill of saying, it doesn't matter who the person is, I want to call out the gold? Can I give an example? I'm going to give an example of what it looks like to show honor to everybody and call out the gold, okay? John, I love how you are all in. You are one of the most wholehearted people I've seen. When you are into something, you put your heart and soul into it, and you love the people that are involved in it, and you just make a decision. There's a dedication that you live with that is just powerful. Kathy, I love how you love people. I love how you love your husband. Your marriage is such a great example to us. I love that you choose faith even when it's hard, and it's so beautiful to watch. Sierra, you are tenacious. You are tenacious in the face of difficulty and struggle. You go, I'm not done, he's not done, I'm not done, he's not done. And I love that there's probably many times you've just wanted to run away and hide and just disappear. And you haven't done that because there is a strength inside of you that Jesus has put there. Is this okay for me to say? Guys, how often do we see it and not say anything? How often do we see those things and we don't say anything? If we could decide that we're going to be a culture that says, I want to see not the negative. The negative is easy to see. I'm going to come back to that. But to look at people and see the gold and actually say it and say, hey, I loved this part of worship. I loved this part of teaching. I loved when you walked into the room and smiled. I loved hearing you tell this story about your life. That's the kind of people we want to be. What about those who aren't worthy of honor? What about those who just have done evil, frankly? What about them? Let me say this. I don't have to choose intimate connection with everybody, but I will still choose honor. I don't have to be connected. I don't have to agree, but I want my heart to reflect purity in life. My heart is a reflection. My words are a declaration. So when there are people that have done evil to me, or when there are people who have done evil to my wife, that's even worse. When somebody does, have you ever had this where it's like, man, hurt me, shame on you. Hurt somebody I love, and I will gut you, And yet, if I can say, I don't choose connection with this person, I don't choose agreement, but I won't speak evil of them, I want my heart to reflect the heart of God. I don't want my heart to reflect bitterness. You know what that happens? That actually ties that other person to me. If I can't think of that about them without feeling bitter, then what they've done has a hold on me. What would happen if we're able to say, I have been wounded by this person, I won't be in relationship with this person, but Lord, I bless them. I bless them from way over there, but I bless them, right? And I won't speak evil of them. I will still honor them because that's still someone Jesus died for. All right, the second one is love the brotherhood, okay? Love the brotherhood. Here's the thing. What Peter is saying is, look, we want to honor everybody, but we also want to really particularly honor the people that we're in a personal connection with. There are different levels of honor and of intimacy and of connection. My wife receives a place of honor in my life that nobody else ever will. God receives a place of honor in my life that nobody else ever will. You guys, this church family receives a place of honor in my life that other people won't, because there's an intimate connection, because there's a relationship. And the closeness of the relationship does determine, like, there are things I would give my wife, like my last bite of a really good hamburger, that if anybody else ever tried to get, I'm going to stab you with my fork. Like, that's not for you. I honor you, but you can't have that bite. And that's the way things are designed. We're made that we can honor each other differently. The Bible tells us we're supposed to honor parents, right? And there's a unique place there. Leviticus 19:32 says, "You shall stand up before the gray head and honor the face of an old man." Well, I'm getting a little closer. Some of you guys got me beat there. But there's honor because of life experience, because of wisdom that comes with that. So we have to take that into account. One of the stories I love in the Bible, I won't go too deep into this, but David's the king before David, King Saul, was not a good king. But Saul's son, Jonathan, was David's best friend. And so when Jonathan had a son, and Jonathan and Saul had been killed, David's like, is there anybody in the household that still is a family member of my best friend that I could help? And he finds Jonathan's son, and he's like, because of my honor for your dad, because of my honor for my best friend who's not here anymore, I'm going to honor you. You get to sit at my table. You get to eat my food. And that brotherhood, there's a connection there. And when I say brotherhood, I don't just mean men. I mean brotherhood, sisterhood. It's the family, right? That's what he's really saying. There's a value there. The third place we're called to honor is in the verse. It says, fear God. Now, I want to be clear. If you haven't heard this before, fear God does not mean be afraid of God. It means honor him. It means respect him. You know, I fear standing underneath Niagara Falls, not because it's bad, but because it's powerful, it's beautiful, it's amazing, but it's, you know what I mean? When it comes, there's a respect that I have for it. There's a respect and an honor that I have for God. When it says honor God, it means that we want to pay attention to his presence. We want to pay attention to what he's saying and how he's moving. Is this going okay so far? Thank you. I'm trying to not drink too much into the microphone. You're going to hear my sips. All right. Romans 1, verses 21 to 23 says this. It says, for although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools. And they exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images, resembling mortal man and birds and animals and creeping things. What it's saying here is that there were people who knew God, they knew of him, and they knew he was real, but they didn't honor him as God. And because they didn't honor him as God, something actually happened to them. It happened to the way that they thought and what they were tied to. They actually began to link themselves into darkness because they had a knowledge of God but didn't honor him. In verse 28, it also says, and since they did not see fit to acknowledge God or honor God, God gave them up to a debased mind to do what ought not to be done. Twice in Romans 1, it basically is saying that a lack of honor and a lack of thankfulness or an acknowledgement of God led to people being released to a depraved mind. A depraved mind means this. It means I crave what's not good for me. It means I crave the things that I know are going to bring me pain. I crave the things that are going to end up hurting me. And God doesn't want that for us. But if we draw the wall and we put up the boundary and we go, I don't want any of your influence, I'm not grateful for it, I don't want it, then what ends up happening, you know, if the sun's over here and I build a big wall, how much sunlight am I going to get? Not much. That's what this is saying. Because they refused to acknowledge God, they didn't want to stand in his light, they built this big wall, and then they're given over into darkness, and they're stuck in this cycle. Like, listen, whenever people are in that situation, God's always going like, I love you, I want you, come back. My door is always open. I will break down that wall and give you instant sunlight the second that you want it. But if you're not ready, I'm not going to force you. That's the interesting thing, is we're called to honor God, but did you know that he also honors us? He actually honors your desires, your heart, your wishes. He's not going to override you and control your brain and tell you what to do. He's not going to make you do it. He's going to tell you, hey, this is going to be so much better if you'll choose me, if you'll let me love you, if you'll let me bring life to you. And that's why when we honor him, we actually receive from him. You know, honoring God also sometimes means honoring his leaders, like honoring men and women of God that walk in authority. One of the things that I've learned is that if I want to grow in my walk with God and my leadership, I find people that are ahead of me. I look for men and women, and listen, they don't have to be miles and miles and miles ahead of me. If they're like 5 minutes ahead of me, I'm like, great, teach me, O wise one. Like, what do you know? Like, how did you get there? Well, it's only been 5 minutes. Still, I want to know. Like, I want to honor people that have learned more and absorbed more of God, because, listen, here's what we tend to do. We tend to just isolate ourselves and go, oh, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'm going to read the word. I'm going to do my thing. And we might say, well, I honor those people, but I honor them, but I actually don't want to do anything that it would require me to be uncomfortable and learn something from them, because I can get this. I can figure this out on my own. That's the thing about faith. It's so hard if you do it on your own. It's so hard. I spent years looking and praying for a mentor, for people who could teach me. When I finally found a guy I wanted to learn from, I hounded him and texted him and called him for 2 years before he actually sat down with me and we became friends. It was worth it. It was worth it. I saw something in him that I wanted to have, and I still do that. You can ask my wife. I still reach out to people and connect with people looking for those that I can learn something from. And I would encourage you, when it says fear God, when we honor God, it also means we recognize that the people that God is moving in. And if he's moving in somebody in a profound way, I get jealous. Not jealous in the sense of like, oh, I want to be better than them, or I want to take away what they have, but jealous in the sense of like, hey, if that's possible, I want that too. If I see somebody with the new Thin Mint Frosty from Wendy's, I'm going to be jealous. I don't want to steal it from them, but I want my own, because I know it's possible. Limited time only. I hope I get paid for that. If we could honor the people that God's moving in that way, really go, I want to receive from you. I want to learn from you. I may not always like or agree with what you have to say. I'm not going to let you, like, you don't go to someone and go, dictate every piece of my life and tell me what to do. No, you just go, let me teach me. And if you're smart and it's wisdom, you'll do it. Because that's how we grow. All right, I'm going to keep going. The last is honor the emperor. There are people that are put in authority over us, whether it's your boss, whether it is your teacher, whether it is the president of the United States, and we got to look at these people that are in authority. What's interesting about this verse is when Peter said this, when he said honor the emperor, it was not a good emperor. When he said honor the emperor, it was one of the worst leaders that still has ever been seen in the world. He was horrible. And Peter's saying, honor the emperor. Now, here's what he's not saying. He's not saying, agree with everything the emperor says, do everything the emperor tells you to do. Like, say what he says is right, you have to say is right. That's not what he's saying. But what he is saying is, you don't go and trash them as if they don't have worth or value. And I can tell you guys, in a world that is so politically angry, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. When President Trump is in office, I call him President Trump. I talk about the good things. I'm not going to nitpick the bad. When President Biden was in office, I call him President Biden. I honor him. You can ask our kids. We're happy to talk with any president or any leader about things that we disagree with. We'll say, yeah, we really like this. Yeah, we don't like that part so much. But we don't badmouth them. We don't There were words and phrases associated with President Biden that I think are vile and horrible, and I can't believe that Christians let them come out of their mouths. I've heard the same towards Trump. And I think there's something about when somebody is in a position of authority, I didn't put them there. I mean, even if we voted or didn't vote for a president, at the end of the day, you're not the one who made that happen, right? That means I don't have the responsibility to go, I can tear this person down and uproot them completely. And so honor just says, look, I may not like the perspective, but I will honor the position. Does that make sense? David did this with Saul. Saul was a bad king. Saul was making horrible decisions, disobeying the Lord. People were dying. There was a lot of bad things happening. And David said, I won't speak ill of him, and I won't allow him to be harmed by any of my people. Now, here's the interesting thing. David wasn't in Saul's court. He's not saying, oh, he's king, I'm going to be right here next to him. He's like, no, I'm over here in the caves. David was not under Saul in authority. He was in the sense that Saul was king, but he was literally running for his life. He was literally going like, if Saul said, I command you to come out here and let me kill you, David would go, no, not going to happen, because my life doesn't belong to you, it belongs to God. My life doesn't belong to you, it belongs to God. But your life doesn't belong to me, it belongs to God. David had the chance to take Saul's life, and he decided against it. So there's something powerful about this sense of honor. Real quick, I want to talk about the rewards of honor. The level of honor that we have for a person directly affects our ability to receive from them. So if I see somebody that walks in gifts and skills and things, let's say I see somebody that has an amazing marriage. Like the love that they have, the connection, it's so profound, it's so deep, it's so amazing. And I'm like, man, that's cool. Man, I would like to have that. But I also see some flaws, and I'm like, oh man, they drive a Prius. And I just start talking about them. Sorry to any Prius drivers. And I just start talking about them, and I'm like, I don't pursue them to learn anything. I don't show honor. I don't demonstrate honor. How much do you think I'm actually going to learn about how they got where they are? Not much. But if I look at them and go, look, whatever flaws you have, I just want to learn this piece. I want to learn how you did this. Can you teach me? Can you show me more? If I demonstrate honor and I demonstrate that I'm willing to receive, I will receive more. Jesus actually taught us a couple of things. He did. He taught us a couple things. Matthew 16, 17 and 19. There's this interesting part where Jesus is talking to his disciples, and he's going, hey, who's everybody say I am? And they're like, oh, some say you're John the Baptist. He's like, that's weird, because he's my cousin, and we were together. So I don't know how that worked. People are saying, oh, some say you're a prophet. Peter goes, oh, you're the Son of God. You're the Messiah. And Jesus goes, bing, you got it. And Jesus says to him, you didn't discover this on your own, but my Father in heaven has supernaturally revealed it to you. And I give you the name Peter, a rock, and this truth of who I am will be the bedrock foundation on which I will build my church. Oh, there's so much more there. But when we understand who Jesus is, we can treat him out of who he is. When we treat Jesus out of who he is, we can receive the rewards of who he is. Jesus actually says, because you understand who I am, he says this to Peter, I will build my church on that revelation. The power of death will not be able to overcome it. I will give you the keys of heaven's kingdom realm to forbid on earth that which is forbidden in heaven and release on earth that which is released in heaven. In other words, Jesus is saying, look, because you understand who I am and you're treating me out of that place, you're released in authority. How many of you guys know what honor actually is? Honor is just seeing the reality, the truth, not my reality, God's reality of who a person is. And if I can see God's reality of who a person is, then I can actually receive from them the reward of that. Jesus actually said, he said, a prophet is not without honor except in his hometown. What he's saying is the closer you get to people, the harder it is to honor them. But he also says this, he says, whoever receives a prophet as a prophet receives a prophet's reward. In other words, if somebody's operating in this intimate place with God in the supernatural, and I want to receive from that, I have to actually receive from them as that position. Does that make sense? It's hard when you realize the closer you get to people, the more you see their flaws. You can pick your favorite spiritual leader, and the closer you get to them, not everything about them is always going to smell good. You guys know the makeup mirrors where you have one side and it's kind of like a normal mirror, and then you flip it and it's like all of your pores, like you can see, like it's like looking at the surface of the moon, like you can just see the craters and pores. You know what I'm talking about? The closer you get, the more apparent those things are going to be. But to receive the rewards of honor means I'm not focusing on those things. In fact, let me tell you this. There are some people to me that are spiritual heroes and giants and amazing men and women of the faith. When I get close to them, and I have gotten close to some of them, and I see their flaws, I see sometimes when they're impatient, I see sometimes when they think or say something that I wouldn't think or say. You know what I feel in those moments? I'm so excited. Because I'm like, if an imperfect person can do what they're doing, then I can too. I don't bring them down because of it. I actually am like, oh, that means I can come up. I'm not afraid of the flaws of other people. I actually appreciate that flawed people would take some of the massive risks that they've taken. Does that make sense? I want to receive the rewards. It doesn't mean, so it's not like I overlook flaws that are actual sin or like horrible, just doing horrible things. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about normal human being flaws that we all have, areas of growth, right? Nobody has reached perfection. So the closer you get to somebody, the more places you're going to see where they could use some more perfection. Hopefully, we're not just focused on other people, though. Hopefully, I can look at me and go, oh, well, they may have that, but I got that and that and that. And that. Like, I want to be sure that I look more at myself than I do at other people and where I can grow. How we doing? We awake? All right, I want to kind of start wrapping it up here. False honor wants to obtain power. False honor wants to look at people and go, I want to take what you have, or I want the position, I want the title, I want the influence you have, I want the fame that you have, I want the money that you have, and so I'm going to honor you and I'm going to learn from you. That's actually false honor, because it's all about what I can take from you. It's actually what I can take from you. Did you know that's different than what you can give to me? What you can give to me, there's humility, there's wisdom, there's I want to receive. What I can take from you is usurping, it's removing. True honor is not trying to obtain power. True honor is looking for an inheritance. True honor says, I want to so learn and incorporate the beauty of what you have and what you carry, that when I receive it in me, I get to pass that on to my kids, to my family. I get to pass that on to future generations. In fact, true honor, what it says, what you carry is so valuable and so important. I don't want it to die with you. And maybe you already have natural kids that will carry it, but I want to be another one that's going to carry that and that's going to bring that to the next generations. It doesn't mean you always agree with everything they do or say. It just means we can recognize there's a place of honor that we can receive a reward from. And that's what Jesus taught us about that. So here's what this looks like in community. In community, culture of honor and living this way means that we get to thrive, first of all, just because we treat each other well. We love each other well. We see the gold. We see the beauty. We're not looking for the flaws. But it also removes a fear of intimacy. Proverbs 15:33 says, the fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility. If you want to receive honor, it starts with humility. And here's the thing about humility. I could be afraid, and I actually used to live this way. I used to live very afraid of connecting with people because I thought this. The more I connect with them, the closer I get, the more of my flaws they'll see, and they'll hate me like I hate myself, and I'm not worthy, and I won't be able to get close, and I'm just going to feel bad about myself, so I'm not going to get close to people. I had that fear of intimacy. But how many of you guys know that for me anyway, that there was actually a lot of pride in that? Because pride says this. Pride said, I'm so concerned with the fact that I could be wrong about something that I will do everything I can to avoid being in a position where I could be proven wrong. Because I need to be right. I need to be right because it's tied to my value. And when being right is tied to your value, you're actually going to fight for it tooth and nail. You won't allow yourself to be wrong. Because if I'm wrong, I'm worthless. But there was pride in that because the pride said, I can't be wrong. Right? I won't be wrong. Getting humility meant to me that I had to lose that fear of being wrong. And actually, it's shifted from being afraid of being wrong to actually being curious about ways that I can grow. And again, you can ask Catherine about this too. I am not perfect in this at all. And she'll easily tell you the areas I am still growing, as well as the ones I've overcome. But early in our marriage, I was so terrified of being wrong that if there was even the semblance of she was going through pain, but if there was anything about her pain that was connected to me possibly having caused it or done something wrong, I would fight back because no, I can't. That means I'm worthless. That means I'm not valuable. And now in our marriage, I'm at a point where I can go most of the time, I hear what you're saying. I think that's an area I can grow. I want to learn how I can do that better because I'm not afraid of it. And actually learning in community, what would happen if we said, because here's the thing, honor doesn't mean that you hide if somebody hurts your feelings. Honor doesn't mean that you just act like everything is okay because I want to honor you and I want to make sure you think we're okay, even if I'm not okay inside, I want to honor you. That's not what honor is. Honor is actually being willing to share the truth. Honor, true honor, it says, like there are people in this room and people in our body and people in my life that I've gone to and I've had to say, hey, I disagree with what you did here. This didn't work for me. I don't think that was great. Most of the time those conversations go well and they wind up, we're connected, our hearts are good. Sometimes in those conversations, the person that I talked to got hurt. And the ones that truly show me honor are the ones that come back and go, hey, how you said this sucked. Like, this didn't feel good. This hurt me. And I can go, okay, wow, let me process with you what I could have done better there. Let's process how that could have changed. Maybe things about you I need to be aware of that I wasn't aware of. But you're making me aware of, and that means you're honoring me. And that means I can grow, and I can do better, and it means we're fighting for connection. How many of you guys know it's so easy to just say, I'm giving up on connection from anybody that hurts me? But real honor says, no, I'm actually going to battle for connection. And battling for connection sometimes means saying the hard thing. Sometimes the best way you can honor somebody is right in the moment when something happens that hurts or frustrates you. You go, hey, this hurt and or frustrated me. And that's honor. One last thing I want to say about this is this. When we talk about honor, we talk about honoring leaders and all of this stuff. Where this has been taken too far is to say that leaders can do no wrong and they should be honored and they should be put in this special place where, they don't have to have the consequences for their actions. And we've seen a lot in the church lately where there have been abuse, where there have been complete horrible decisions made by leaders. Can I just say, sometimes honor means sending somebody to jail. Sometimes the best form of honor is holding somebody accountable for their actions. And there are many places in the church that have not done that well. There are some that have, and I love them and honor them, and I hear some voices more and more now of life in that regards. But when it comes to honor, and you have a choice to honor a victim or a perpetrator, can I just say as a body that we commit to honor the victim? We also commit to honor the perpetrator, but that doesn't mean ignoring what happened. It actually means consequences. That the honor is like, hey, there is a due process that will be happening. We can honor both, but we can also say if it's between the two, the one that we're going to demonstrate safety for, we will demonstrate safety for those who have been victims. Honor has been misconstrued in this area, and I think it's important that I clarify how we stand on that. All right, here's the last thing, guys. I'm not teaching us this because, hey, I want us to feel this big sense of obligation or this weight of what you should do. This is invitation. This is a new way of living. This is a way most of the world doesn't live or doesn't think. And what would happen if we could say, I'm not afraid of conflict because I know that I honor this person. And I know that when I share whatever might be cause conflict, it's not because I know they honor me. I know they love me. And I choose to fight for connection. What would happen if we became a community that were continuously going, I call out the gold. I gave you a couple examples in here. I would love for all of us to adopt that and do that for each other. I need it too. Believe it or not, I need people to go like, hey, this was great. Hey, I like that you're here. Like, good, I like that I'm here too. Like, we all need it. And if we can see the gold in each other and call that out, if we can really honor each other, and if we can really go after the people that have what we want to have, there is no stopping a body that operates in honor. All right, I'm going to close this out. By the way, if you would like prayer, if there's anything going on and you just want to, it doesn't need to be long. If you want a quick, 30-second prayer top up, something my wife does, she tops up her car. I run to my car until it's on empty every time. She's like, nah, in fact, quick story. The other night we're driving home from Denver, and I look at the gas gauge and I'm like, oh, I remember looking at that earlier. That was pretty bad. I look at it again. I'm like, oh, that's real bad. We're on our way from Denver. There's these big areas of nothing. And we had 7 gallons left in the tank. No, not 7 gallons, 7 miles. 7 miles, and we were 5 miles from the nearest gas station, maybe a little more. So it was it was wild. We got there. Anyway, I don't recommend that. And I will learn. This is an area where I can grow. But I say that to say, we offer prayer a lot here, and I love when it gets taken advantage of because we believe it's powerful. I believe 2 things. I believe the more we pray for each other, 1, the more the person being prayed for will see results in their life. I also believe the more we pray for each other, the more the person doing the prayer will get better at it, and we'll see more results. So we offer that, and as we close, we just come before Jesus, and we just say, thank you, Lord. Thank you that you demonstrated honor, God, the King of the universe, that you would honor us the way that you have, with your presence, with your love, with the gifts that you pour out on us. God, wherever we've been hurt or wounded, where honor has been a pain point for us, I pray that you would bring the healing of your Holy Spirit. And God, right now, I just invite everybody in this room to release anybody that you've held on to in dishonor. If there are people that you know in your heart, whether or not they deserve it, maybe some of them do. Maybe some of them really do. You just deserve that dishonor is how you feel. But what would happen today if we could just go, Lord, we release them. God, I release them to you. I don't need to be in charge. I don't need to be the judge. I trust you. And I can say from way over here in my safe place, I bless them and I ask that you would bring them honor in life. God, would you help us to release those that need to be released? Would you restore the true meaning of honor? Would you help us to be a community that genuinely, affectionately, deeply loves each other, that pursues connection, and that receives the rewards that you offer us, God, through honor. In Jesus' name.